Well, hello there and welcome. My name is Kylie Patchett and I'm your host, and welcome to the Wild and Finally Fucking Free podcast. This show is all about sharing the real and raw stories from women who have undergone midlife metamorphosis, taken a leap of faith, or broken the ties that bind them in patterns of staying stuck, small, and like their needs don't matter. You see, I believe that the years leading up to and during menopause are a rite of passage, a deep invitation after so many years of giving our time, attention, and energy to others to carve out the same time, energy, and attention in ourselves, in our health, our love, our connection, our vitality, our purpose, our real needs and deep desires. You know, those ones lying dormant underneath all the duty, responsibility, pushing, striving, and achieving of our 20s and 30s? You see, at this stage in our lives, we find ourselves shifting identity potentially, no longer caring as much what other people think, and left wondering why on earth we have not given ourselves permission to do life in the way we truly want to. In this show, I speak to the women brave enough to truth talk their own midlife shedding skin stories, and the healers and helpers who help them transition through these crossroads of change. This is the midlife magic you didn't even know you needed, and I am so freaking glad you found us. Let's dive in. Hey there, before we dive into this episode, I have something exciting to share with you, which is I have just thrown open the doors for the first time in about 3 months to my one-on-one midlife mentoring containers. You'll find all the details at kyliepatchett.com.au, which is linked on all the different places you'll find this podcast, so easy to find. And right on that page, you can book in a midlife magic call with me. That is a 30 minutes, completely free and obligation free space where you can share where you are now, some of the stories you want to shed, and where you would deeply love to be. This is for women who have arrived at this point in their lives where they've got this, is this all there is feeling? And it's being met with a feeling of, I have no more fucks to give and I have zero tolerance for bullshit which no longer serves me. So what I say about that is, what a marvelous time to embrace what I like to call midlife metamorphosis. So if you're ready to shed skins, to heal old stories, to step into your power, your magnificence, and your true role of being creator and decider in this one precious life of yours, come feel into a midlife mentorship with me through an absolutely no obligation midlife magic call. All information at kyliepatchett.com.au. All right, let's dive in. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Wild and Finally Fucking Free. I've got the absolutely gorgeous Jacqui Toohey in the house today. Hello, Jacqui. How are you?
Hello, Kylie. I'm very well, thank you.
I'm so excited for this interview because having just gone through the whole aging and going into aged care with one of my parents, what you are very passionate about is something that is very front and center for me. And I'm actually thinking, am I looking forward to myself? So I'm looking after myself as well as what I could. So please introduce your beautiful self and what you're passionate about in the world.
Oh, thank you. So my name is Jacqui, more commonly known as Jack. I live in Glen Iris in Melbourne, Victoria, and currently coming to you from my beach house, which is very exciting. I've been down here for about 3 or 4 weeks, so it's just beautiful.
So nice.
I am 52. I'm the mum of 3 adult children and life partner to a beautiful man, Damien. My children are 23, 21 and 18. So the youngest has just finished school, which is a whole exciting new chapter of life for us, and me in particular, in the 18 years of being a school mum, are over and out and done. So I am really, really marinating in this I don't have to go back to Melbourne and get anyone off to school feeling, which is just beautiful. But if I put my superwoman cape on, my role in life is as a women's health and fitness coach, and I work with women who are in the messy middle. I help them rewrite their midlife story and lead the second half of life with vitality and health.
Oh, you're speaking my language. You know that you're speaking my language. First of all, let's have a moment of deep honoring, because I know I'm like flapping my arms around all over the place and no one can see what I'm doing. But let's just have a moment of celebration that neither of us have to do the back to school thing ever again.
Yay!
So I am loving the fact that yes, to me, this feels like the ultimate freedom to not have to worry about the back to school and the trip to Officeworks and the getting the books and everything. And for anyone who's listening who's still in those years, you will get there. It does end.
It does end.
Oh dear. So tell me, when you talk about the messy middle and helping women to get to the other side of the messy middle, so the second half of our lives, have you always been passionate about health and fitness overall? Is this a new thing? Is this a lifelong thread?
Yeah, it's a lifelong thread. So if I go back to school days, I've always been an active human, and I've always been fascinated with how the human body works.
Yes.
So when I came to the end of my schooling years, I thought I wanted to teach phys ed. So I went off to uni and studied my first year of Bachelor of Education in physical education to do secondary phys ed teaching, went on teaching rounds and really didn't enjoy the experience. But I loved the anatomy and the physiology side of what I was studying. So I muddled my way through the rest of that year, transferred to Bachelor of Applied Science in Physical Education.
Yep.
That course, I mean, this is going back to the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
So that course is now known as exercise science.
Yeah.
So gotcha. That's what I completed. And I nerded out on all of the ways that the human body works and how we can improve our performance and get, just live life really. So once I left uni, I went to, alongside being at uni, I was working in gyms, very, very early stages of PT in Australia. Again, this is back in the early 90s. So I was working with general population then. Once I graduated, I was also working in some of the hospitals in Melbourne in their physio area.
Ah, interesting.
Working alongside the very, very few phys ed, as we called them at that stage, but are now called exercise physiologists. But there weren't many roles in that area. So I needed to look for something else. So I went off into national sporting organisations, sports management. So I got a bit more in the behind the scenes work of that industry. Then I went and had a family. And so the whole time I've been involved as a participant in fitness. So I lifted my first barbell off the floor at 18.
Yes.
But then, so then had a family, 3 children, 4 pregnancies, 4 very different pregnancies, 4 very different birth experiences, early postnatal experiences. And a really common theme for me was being able to use movement and exercise as a way to come back into myself. So once I had navigated my way through the days of being a full-time mum at home and was ready to come back into fitness, I was really following my passion and to come back into fitness, but very much through the lens of working with women. Yeah. I had developed this wonderful appreciation of the female physiology and what we are capable of doing, and had this understanding that we really don't know much about ourselves. You know, we learn stupid things at school like how to play the recorder and
which no one needs to hear. Let's just put that right there.
But we don't learn the fundamentals about being a female. You know, we don't understand the menstrual cycle. We don't understand the life stages of being a woman. I could go down a big rabbit hole here. So that's how I came back into fitness. Yeah. And so I've been back into the industry really full-time for the last over a decade now. And the more I'm in it, the more I'm niching down into particular areas. And the last 5 years has really been in this midlife phase because it parallels with where I'm at in life too.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness, there's so many threads that I want to pull. So first of all, I want to step you back into when you were first in hospitals, because I'm interested. Were you doing rehab-y type of stuff? Like that's the sort of thing that I'm imagining that you were exposed
correct.
to there.
So I was so the position I had was with one of the big hospitals in Melbourne that has orthopedic wards. It's actually the big hospital for spinal rehabilitation or spinal injury rehab in Melbourne. And then another rehab hospital as well. So I worked in those main areas, 6 months in each of those areas. And prior to that, I was at another hospital that worked mainly with MND and MS patients. So yes, it was in physical therapy. Yeah.
That's interesting. My very first, not my first career, my second career as a sleep and respiratory scientist, I worked with MND people with nocturnal ventilation. So there you go, parallel lives. The reason I asked that is because we have been talking before we started recording about this concept of middle age. Like I'm talking from my own experience. I definitely had very little understanding and education about and I completely agree with you that the schooling system is ridiculous. Like no one needs to hear a recorder, but we do need to know what to expect in the cycles of our own bodies. And that it is cyclical, and that middle age is all part of this beautiful cycle of life where we get to rebirth ourselves after we've done all that active parenting and done all the, kind of building of our lives, for want of a better way. And the reason I'm asking about the hospital thing is because I have this really clear sense that's coming to me that when we get to these years, it's like the calling that we've always had, the thread that we've always had, starts to tap a lot louder. And knowing your story, and we'll get into more of the why behind helping women to age well and, have lifestyle factors that influence their aging positively, not negatively. But I'm interested because I feel like our calling comes with all these breadcrumbs. So when you were in the hospital system, what were some of the things that you were seeing? Was there anything that was kind of at the sorry, I'm not phrasing my question very well. I'm interested to know whether even then did you realize that like this physical movement thing and our ability to rehabilitate after injury and our ability to age, did you already have that, like those spidey senses were already being switched on by that?
Yeah. So I think the thing that I really enjoyed about those days was that the work that we were doing with patients, clients, whatever you wanted to call them, was to help them get better or move better or live better or overcome whatever the health issue it was that they were facing at that time. So that's where my heart's always been pulled is helping through movement and physical activity. I suppose is where it is.
Oh, it's so good. And then the other thing that is really speaking to me, particularly with your own personal experience of 4 different pregnancies, and you said something absolutely beautiful, because there's such a parallel to this in our messy middles, our messy, magnificent middles. You said movement and exercise to come back to ourselves. So can you talk more about that in terms of what do you mean by coming back to yourself and the application in our middle lives? Because to me, and particularly like I have a lot of conversations with people in this stage of life, and a lot of it's like a negative kind of like, oh, my body is betraying me, or it's stopped working, or, it's awful what I'm living with. That's kind of that negative thing. But to me, that creates this dissociation from our bodies, right?
Yeah. So back in those days of the parenting, the really active parenting days, it was finding me as Jacqui versus
individual, not mum.
Yes, exactly. Not mum, not wife, not sister, not daughter. It was me as Jacqui. And because I didn't have a full-time, I wasn't working, it was my sense of, just finding myself. And if I ruminate too much in my head, which you can do when you're stuck at home with 3 kids under 5, in the short spaces of time that you come up for air, is to get back in my body. And for me, that's to move. My thing became running. And I discovered that I was actually quite good at running, and that became my passion, but it also became my sense of identity for a while too, which became a little bit, there's always that little danger clause associated with that, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it was very important to me that I was seen as Jack the runner as well as Jack the parent, I suppose, Jack the mum,
Yeah. It's such a big thing, isn't it? That identity piece is, anything in excess can, honouring that anything in excess can definitely, turn the corner into addiction or obsession. But I definitely struggled with I always say, like, I went in about 13 months, I went from being in the corporate environment, managing a company with 200 people, to being at home with a 2-month-old, a 14-month-old, and my dad had a stroke, so he was living with us as well. And I was like, what the freaking hell is this ridiculousness? Yeah. And I really, really struggled identity-wise. But similarly, I did use movement. I started I did outdoor training with a group of girls, and still really good friends. Actually, a couple of them have been on the podcast as well. And just getting out in the fresh air, moving the body, and everyone had young kids, so all the kids came anyway. And it was such a godsend at that stage, because I think I would have gone slowly nutty. I really do think I would have gone slowly nutty.
Totally.
Oh, dear. So what sort of parallels can we draw in using movement to come back to ourselves in this messy middle?
Yeah, I think so when we get to the we're not really prepared for this whole perimenopause scenario. Like, we are getting a lot better at being prepared for puberty and pregnancy and postpartum and all of that. But I think the next P that we're not super prepared for is perimenopause.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, as you say, many women feel like their body is betraying them, or they don't feel like themselves anymore. And I believe that we have become accustomed to or conditioned to think that once we reach adulthood, we're meant to fit into, our body is meant to look and stay the same for life.
Yes.
There's no, once you have a baby, you're meant to bounce back to what it was. Yes. There's no give and take for the seasons of life. And so when we do get to perimenopause, and yes, our physiology is changing and we've got all these changes going on internally that you may not see on surface level until a few years later.
Yes.
But we can feel them all. Yet you might feel like, oh, Jesus, what is going on?
Yeah.
I just feel so disconnected. So not that you need to accept that you have to there has to be a loss of function or a loss of ability or mobility as you age. But I think we need to accept that we will change with age. A human body is a changing body.
Yes.
And change doesn't have to be seen as a negative thing.
No, absolutely not.
And there's a whole education mindset reset required.
Yeah, totally agree. I was having a similar conversation with Neve Daly. I just interviewed, who's a yoga teacher who specializes in teaching for the stages of menopause. And I was saying to her, one of the things that I'm realizing in this messy middle is that I don't have the excess of capacity in terms of like energy and like I used to be able to be around people that like time, like a never ending energy. And all of a sudden I'm like, wow, okay, I've got significantly less energy, and I'm now, the invitation is to be more discerning, right, with your resources. And there's a sweetness to that, an absolute sweetness to that, because you get to choose how to honor yourself. But her answer to that, and it's so similar to what you're saying, it's so beautiful how there's all these themes keep coming back, that we idealize our bodies in our 20s and 30s as like, that's the, that's me complete. And it's like, no, that's part of the cycle of life. And just like, if you think about a deciduous tree, do we say to the tree who's lost its leaves, disgusting, your worth is no longer here? Because we forget that the tree then, sprouts its little green sprouts in springtime and becomes a whole other cycle of tree. I'm not explaining that very well, but the beauty in the cycle and the looking forward to, well, I wonder what comes next. I think that's a beautiful, like the reframe, rather than thinking of, perimenopause, negative. It's like, Wow, okay. I actually get to choose what I take forward into the next cycle. I think there's a huge power in that. When we think about changing with age, when you think about, just say, a woman who's in her, let's go, just turning 40, she may have just taken up triathlon running or marathon running or something, because quite often we do that turn of a big birthday, like I'm going to get super fit. Speaking from experience. Anyway, what would you be saying to her, and particularly, let's say, a 40-year-old who is very, very busy, still in the, day-to-day, very active parenting, probably in the middle school sort of areas. She may be using alcohol to, calm herself down. She's got a high-stress job. She's trying to juggle everything. I'm talking to all of the recovering control freak perfectionists out there, aren't I? I'm pretty much describing myself. But what would you be saying to her about where that could potentially lead, and what other choices perhaps she could be trying on for size to make sure that the next part of the cycle is with vitality rather than, I don't know, injury and... Hey, gorgeous. We interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week, copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip, energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard, real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliepatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode.
Yeah, look, it's a really curly one, because unless someone presents to you with a problem that they want a solution to, just giving out blanket statements of you should do X, Y, and Z is really difficult.
Yes.
But if it's taken from more of an education piece, here is how the next phase of life may present itself, and you can expect these changes to be going on underneath, and how you can best serve yourself to get the best out of yourself with your triathlons and everything, but also with all of the other buckets that you need to keep at a certain level so that one's not empty and one's overflowing, that we consider the top of everything that keeps everything at status quo is managing your sleep. And so if there's anything that's going on sleep-wise, and if this young mum is doing triathlons, managing a family and working, she's probably not sleeping very well.
No, she's probably not. She's probably getting up at 4. In fact, I was just speaking to a friend the other day who's getting up at 4 to train for a triathlon, and I'm like, what time are you getting to bed? She's like, about 11. Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So there you go. So it's bringing an awareness to these behaviours. So the key ones are, in my perspective and opinion, are sleep, the use of alcohol and smoking, nutrition, and, of course, movement. And, sorry, I'll add in another one there is stress management. But that could maybe smoking alcohol falls under a way of managing stress. I don't know, but I think they're the key ones. And so bringing awareness to current behaviours and also then thinking, okay, well, what's the lowest hanging fruit? What can we look to tweak to help you future-proof yourself?
Yes.
If we're looking at the movement piece, you and I are both massive advocates for strength training.
Yes, we are.
It's never too late to start, but the earlier you start, the better. And that does not mean going into the gym and pulling a 80-kilo barbell off the floor to start with. Of course not. It's starting where you're at and building from there. The key to strength training is to learn how to move well first, and then you load it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But strength training, there is no downside to incorporating strength training into your life at any phase of life, male or female. And more studies are coming out each week to show the benefits of, not just from a building muscle perspective, which is what we automatically think when we think strength training, but it's across the board health and wellness. Like we were discussing yesterday, the study that's come out about the link between mental health and strength training. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I could go down a massive rabbit hole again.
The reason I mentioned that to you is I'm sure Jacqui's going to be all over this because it's like your jam, but I didn't realize, because to me, I similarly went to a gym early on when I was like an undergrad, and I was working nights in a sleep lab. So like I really wanted to make sure that, because knowing how important sleep is, because you're a sleep scientist and you're watching other people sleep while you are awake and killing yourself.
That makes sense.
It's ironic, isn't it? But I went to a local gym in an old squash court that had been, and I happened to come across a trainer who just had an extra hour that, there was nothing booked in. And he's like, oh, have you ever tried weightlifting? And I was like, no, but I'll give it a go. And I've been hooked since. And for me, there's so many benefits, but for me physically, it's when I feel the most grounded and the most powerful, like really, really, I don't know, like I stand with more like openness. I feel more grounded in my body, my kidney health. Like if I think about traditional Chinese medicine, my like kidney health, that real seed of vitality feels the best. But then when I was reading that study, and it's like there is very, very clear evidence to say that your mental health and your connection to your body, and therefore your self-esteem, self-worth end of things, is hugely influenced in a positive way by strength training. And I was like, another reason why you should be what about if someone says to you, because I know that this myth has been busted multiple times, but I know that there will be women out there who've never strength trained before, feel intimidated about even going to a gym to consider that, but also have that, oh, I don't want to get bulky thing. Can we just talk to that, just because I know that it's going to be out there somewhere?
Yep, sure.
Let's bust that baby.
Bust that baby. Yeah. Okay. So the thing to like putting on lean muscle is really hard. So my 18-year-old son is working his ass off to put on size, and he is in key testosterone growth hormone,
Yep.
and cannot fill himself up enough with food.
Yeah.
Plus he's doing his strength training. And yes, he is putting on size, but he is working super hard. You need to tick all of those boxes.
Yeah.
Testosterone, growth hormone, protein intake, weight resistance training to put on size and train in a particular way.
Yes.
When we look at women and midlife women in particular, our testosterone levels basically remain at a stable level throughout life, but they will drop off a little. Will drop off a little bit in midlife. Our testosterone levels are nowhere near the same levels of an adolescent male, let alone a midlife male.
Yeah.
So we don't get to tick that box.
Yes.
The next box is growth hormone. Growth hormone is released when you are sleeping in your deepest hours of sleep.
Yes.
Midlife women don't necessarily have that great quality of sleep. Therefore, we're not releasing as much growth hormone. I'd love to say everyone does.
Yeah.
But there you go. The next thing is the type of resistance training that you do. There is, if you really want to get size, hypertrophy, there is a particular way to do resistance training.
Yeah.
But it takes considerable application. Yeah. And so you'd be in the gym training particular body parts many times a week.
Which is not what you're going to program.
Which is not what we're going to program, no. Yeah. And the other thing is a calorie excess. So making sure you're eating more than you're expending each day and making sure that there's a particular component is protein. Midlife women, we need to eat lots of protein, but we want that, but it's not as much as if we're trying to put on that big muscle bulk.
No.
So to put on bulk is hard. At our stage of life, we are actually on the trajectory of losing muscle mass.
Yes.
Rather than maintaining or putting on. So we've reached the tipping point. Actually, you reached that tipping point in your 30s.
30s, yeah.
Yeah. So that is why strength training is so important for the midlife woman, because we want to try and maintain the lean muscle mass that we've got. And if you can, put some more on, because it's a metabolically active tissue and it is just so important for functionality as well as well-being.
Yeah.
So, yes, we can rule out it's hard. It's really hard to put on bulk. The bulk can come from adding on body fat as well as muscle size.
Yes.
But what's bulky and what's wrong with being bulky? Like,
this is the other thing.
That's the other definition. You know, what's this ideal of, there's that whole body image thing as well. And that's just another tangent.
Well, let's go there, because that's exactly where my brain was going, because, who is to say that the female form is not meant to have some lean muscle on it? Like, who is to say that skinny and pretty is the ideal that we all should be aiming for? I'm like, let's not put everyone in a box. A, not everyone wants to look like that. B, not everyone genetically can look like that. And also, let's love the blinking body that we're in, like take care of the vehicle that we chose to do this life in, or the skin suit, as someone said to me the other day. I'm like, oh, this makes me feel a bit creepy.
Yeah.
Do you know, that makes me think of that. Who was the singer? Was it Lady Gaga with the dress made out of meat or something?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, sorry, pod people. Didn't mean to ooh in your ear. Yes, let's talk about that a little bit, because I think this is the other thing that, I know from my own experience, creates this disconnection from our bodies. And I feel like if we're not in the body that we're in, if we're not connected to the body that we're in, we are also not incentivized or triggered to take care of it. And one of the things that I have been very present to, which I alluded to when we were first talking, having just gone through the dementia and then into aged care process for one of my parents, and I used to work in aged care. Like, the difference between, like, I used to work in aged care, there was 90-year-olds with no wheelie walker and getting around pretty well. Like, they had aging related things happening. And then there was 70-year-olds who were in wheelchairs. And I'm not talking about people that have had injury and, in wheelchairs. I'm talking about lifestyle factors that have created such a loss of mobility that they're in wheelchairs. And so it's very present to me how taking care of our body, and by definition, we have to be in our body and appreciate our body to be motivated to take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about, I know that you've got a personal, like familial experience as well that has really, I guess it's another breadcrumb, right? The calling is to help women, you know, rewrite the midlife story. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's
sure.
really important.
Yeah. So my mum is living with a number of health conditions.
Mm-hmm.
She's just turned 80 last year.
Yeah.
The most debilitating of those conditions is Alzheimer's disease and also osteoporosis. And there is a familial link with the Alzheimer's, but she didn't get early onset Alzheimer's, so it's not that link. And the thing about when I look at mum and I think back to the midlife life that mum was living, it's not dissimilar to the life that many of my friends and peers of this age group are living as well.
Yes.
Which is an affluent lifestyle, enjoying good food and good wine and socially connected, active in, you know, playing tennis or playing golf or taking the dog for a walk. Maybe they're working. My mum was in a voluntary role and also had a little self-employed role. So she was ticking all the boxes of what you think is a normal life. The big thing that was missing for mum was the purposeful exercise, in particularly around that strength training and also getting some more of that cardiovascular metabolic conditioning sort of training.
Yes.
That's the big things that was missing from mum's lifestyle, and also the thing that I see is quite often missing from other women in this age group present day. So one of the driving factors behind my why is maybe I've missed the generation that I'm sitting in now in being able to help them prevent these conditions from developing. But if I start speaking louder and start creating a few more ripples and other people catch those ripples and pass them on to the next generation, hopefully my daughter and her generation that's coming through are prepared for peri, know what's coming to them, know that strength training, metabolic conditioning sort of training is super important for bone health, heart health, muscular health, brain health down the track, so that we can try and mitigate or reduce the risk of developing osteoporosis and Alzheimer's, heart disease, dementia, depression, the list diabetes, the list continues of
all
those.
The big ones.
All the big ones that women are at greater risk of developing post-menopause.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's where my driving why comes from. I just think if mum only knew what I know now, but you don't know what you don't know.
No.
So that's where the whole education piece comes back into it, and that preparedness for peri, that we've just got to get over ourselves and talk about it. And I say that with my hand, I have to get over myself and talk louder, because I am in the very privileged position of having an understanding of the human body, the female physiology, a lived experience personally, plus watching my mother.
Yes.
So if I don't say this stuff out loud, that's being freaking selfish.
Yeah.
And by just getting over myself, I'm helping others to go, oh, well, shit, maybe that is me. You know, maybe I could sort of maybe have one or two less drinks of wine every night. Maybe I could stop that smoking and consider even starting to walk the dog for a start if we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And that's the road to future-proofing yourself for midlife and beyond.
I think it's so easy to be, like we were talking about this the other day, because my girls are 17 and 18, and, you know, they've got a lot of friends, particularly young male friends, that are like risk-taking behaviors all over the place, because, you know, they don't have a fully developed brain for starters, but we make the mistake of thinking we're invincible until we're not. So if you're listening to this and there's something in your gut going, something here for me, like there's something that I know that I'm doing or not doing that could support my healthy aging, don't wait until you get a diagnosis because the other thing that we need to talk about too is brain health. Like the problems with brain health, like Alzheimer's, don't turn up for 15 years after the damage is done, or damage is starting to happen. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So those plaques are being laid down before without you even knowing it.
No.
And that's one of the unfortunate. So that was one of the scary things for me, was knowing that Mum had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and then me having these little moments of the brain fog. You know, I'm in mid-conversation and that word that was on the tip of my tongue just disappears, and I go, oh, fuck, what's going on here? Am I on that same path?
Yep.
But because I've done the research and I understand that it is a symptom of perimenopause,
yes.
And 9 times out of 10, you come out the other side and you come back, and I can feel that I'm not as bad as I was a couple of years ago. Then that's like, that's okay. But if you have no preparedness for it or understanding of what's going on, then that could be really scary.
Yeah, absolutely. I've spoken to 2 people this week, exactly the same thing. I haven't so far experienced the word loss, but I didn't realize that was such a common perimenopause symptom. And, you know, I'm very early on, so maybe I will get there. But they also, and because both of them actually have a parent with not Alzheimer's, a different type of dementia and Alzheimer's, that was their immediate thing. I'm actually going down the same track, and really, really fearful. And for both of them, because it was the first main symptom to turn up. So they didn't have, their periods hadn't changed. They weren't doing the nights, but like nothing that we kind of very well know or is better known for a symptom. And so straight away they were like, I'm going senile. Like I literally am getting some sort of dementia symptoms. How do you feel like, for you, the journey into perimenopause, given that you did know so much more about the female physiology? I feel like the more educated we are and the more we know what to expect, the better. But do you feel that helped you on your journey, or is helping you on your journey?
Well, interestingly, I probably didn't know much about peri when I started.
Until you got there.
The thing that really triggered me was the women who I was working with were coming to me saying, I've got all these aches and pains. I haven't changed what I'm doing. I knew that they were training with me the same number of days a week, that they hadn't really changed what they were eating. You know, all of those sort of things. I'm like, what's going on here?
What's going on? Yeah.
So I started to do those, a bit of digging, and that's when and so that's where the research has come from. And then I started to experience some symptoms as well.
Yeah.
But my symptoms have been very mild.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if that's because of the lifestyle I lead. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever know, but that's, not diagnosing that. So that's where the research came from for me.
Yeah. I think it's really, really important to note, coming back to what you were saying when, you were answering my question about the 40-year-old who's the, hyper-achieving woman at that stage in her life, the point you made about sleep. If sleep's not working, sleep makes everything else worse, and also stress, same thing. So I think at the very least we could probably assume that your healthier lifestyle and therefore your stress management and better sleep has definitely not exacerbated the symptoms you were going to have already, because those 2 things, no matter where you are in your perimenopause, or even if you're not in perimenopause yet, stress, high stress and not enough sleep make everything worse.
Absolutely.
So learning how to manage those things. And it must be said too that, good quality sleep, if you're not moving your body, is harder to access. And doing purposeful work. I've found very interesting, and I don't know whether, you and I talk about human design a bit. So, but for a generator, like, it's really important to do work that satisfies you, because then you hit the pillow and you're like, my energy is spent. I am really happy with how, whatever happened during the day. Now I can sleep. And I've really noticed that in the last couple of days, being back doing this sort of thing, like interviewing and the stuff that lights me up. And I'm like, I think there is that big difference. For your journey, something that I know that you have posted about before is feeling less able or less willing to push yourself to go to an event or do something that feels out of alignment with you. how has that transpired? Because I think, a lot of us have roles that we play, whether it's wife or mum or whatever, and it's very easy to feel like you're obligated to fulfill X, Y, Z in those roles. So how has that unfolded for you?
Has it unfolded? So for a long time, there was I'm a big people pleaser. I have always been, I put myself down the list to please others and to look after others. And it's just, I think it's the phase of life that you get to and you start thinking, well, I've actually got to put myself first, because if I don't put myself first, no one else is.
Yeah.
And going to this event is not going to serve me today. I am going to make things worse by being there for everyone else around. I need to hold on to my precious energy. It's better for me to say no. And no is a complete sentence. It doesn't need an explanation attached to it or any rationalisation or justification. I just can't do this tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. What a relief, hey?
Yes, very much so. And in that circumstance that I'm drawing from in particular, it was. And I woke up the next day feeling so much better within myself for not only not having attended the session, but attended the event, but for voicing my needs and being supported in my decision as well. And I was then able to just move on and move forward and
it's a beautiful thing. That's what I was meaning before with the the never-ending capacity in our younger years. I think I used to look at that as like a really, really great thing. But now I'm actually wondering whether that perpetuated the stories I had about I've got to do everything for everybody, because I think you do get to the stage where you've got less capacity, but not necessarily less capacity only, also like less tolerance for things that don't feel right. That's very, like that. I feel that very strongly at the moment. It's like I'm burning down all of the ways that I'm abandoning myself. It's like the Phoenix thing. But I think that's a beautiful thing, because when we start saying yes to ourselves and when we stop ignoring our needs, we start to, in a different way to what we were talking about before, come home to ourselves. So, and then we build self-trust, because if you then, if you listen and respond to your own needs, then, and you keep doing that, then you learn that there's a different way that you're, I think it's really interesting, because something you said before was you help women rewrite their midlife story. Do you think that there's other stories for you, so that people pleasing is kind of like, I want to say under renovation, maybe being demolished. What other stories did you have pre-perimenopause that you needed to rethink?
I think I would be kidding myself if I didn't say that there was a story of staying small, keeping myself small. I think a lot of women have that same story. And ironically, I am a small person. I am not, I'm not tall. There's not a lot of me.
No.
But there's that whole smallness thing.
But such a big purpose, though. So let's not pretend that there's not a big purpose in the littleness of you. Physical littleness of you.
That's right. Pocket rocket.
Yes.
The other stories of the good girl, which is wrapped up in the people pleaser, probably. Serving others and not necessarily serving myself. Other stories of I have to be the responsible one, the sensible one, the what other ones?
Do you have the that makes me think of the that very mother thing of like, I'm the rock of the family, like I'm the one that has to keep everything going. And I'm like, where do we learn that?
Yeah, I suppose I have never really thought that out loud, but my actions, probably,
We act like we're indispensable.
Yeah.
I should say I act like
I do too.
I have previously acted like I'm indispensable.
Yeah.
Do you know the funny thing though? I think because I got to the stage, so I turned 47. I'm just about to turn 48. So on my 47th birthday, I started to get these huge swings, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, between rage and like crying. That was my first like, something's changed here. And when I was honest with myself, and this is what I mean by, we're at an initiation point where we get to actually look at the stories and go, do I want to carry this forward? Because it's not really feeling that comfortable. But I was stretching myself too thin, like because I was acting indispensable on many, many levels, career-wise, family-wise, and extended family-wise. I couldn't keep it up. And I think that's the beautiful thing about these stories. It's like we are literally being called to review and shed, because that's going back to our cycle thing. This is, I just read a book called Second Spring, and it's the autumnal period of perimenopause, winter of menopause, and then coming back out into that reemergence of like, oh, second half of life. Okay, what's my calling? What am I called to do? I've got less demands, hopefully, not everyone, but less demands potentially. So what do I do with it? And I think we have to remember that there's an invitation to remember that part of autumn, if we think about the tree again, is dropping leaves. Like the wind comes to blow off all the dead stuff. So the stories are the dead stuff. How has it felt to you to get clear on those stories and change the way that you're interacting?
Oh, it's really empowering, and it's really fulfilling. So I'm starting to really know me better, and therefore I'm a better partner. I'm a better mum. I'm a better friend. I'm a better sister. I'm, all those other labels that you carry. It's just that ripple effect, and so it's been an ongoing process. And I would agree with you that my journey of self-discovery really probably started around that 47, 48.
Yeah.
And I align that with the starting of the perimenopause.
Yeah, I really do. Yeah. I think
there's a lot of self-reflection. Yeah. You start going, is this all there is? Is there, I feel like I've got more to give, but you start to realize, well, okay, there's stuff under there, but it's been buried. It's been buried under the detritus of life up until this point.
Of the doing.
Yeah, doing, very much so.
Often and I think this is the other gift of perimenopause, and, it's called perimenopause for a reason. It's like the invitation is to pause and reflect, because, maybe your body's giving you symptoms that, like fatigue or whatever, where you really can not do as much. But also it's like, well, I actually haven't had space in my life whilst I have been actively parenting or actively growing a career or whatever we did in our busy Lizzie 20s, 30s, and potentially early 40s. But then there's this pause, and you're like, oh, okay, there's stuff that is beneath the surface that I haven't actually allowed to bob up, and now it's bobbing up all over the place. Do you feel like so with the calling to help women with rewriting that midlife and really empowering them to make sure that their lifestyle is positively influencing their aging, do you feel like there's that purpose has got clearer through the process of perimenopause when you have had to look at the stories?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just that. So the clarity for me has come around being in it and doing it, plus also talking with other women and their experiences, and I think it's so important and empowering that when you open conversations, you can see reflected back at you what you're thinking and feeling as well, and you know that you're not alone.
Absolutely.
And there is real power in that. And so that's where the drive to just get over myself and just talk about it more and say yes to opportunities such as this, and to open myself up more. And so, this is what's happening to me. Someone else may say, that sounds very similar, or, I'm normal. It's, it's happening to others. And So yes, the path is becoming clearer through that process. Yes.
And I think to circle back to what you were saying before about this, concept that we are always changing, we would not expect a 8-year-old to, I don't know, say 14-year-old girl to stay exactly the same physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually through puberty. And we also wouldn't expect a mother who is growing a baby in her belly and, birthing them to stay the same. And yet we kind of have forgotten, and like you said before, this is the last P on the horizon to clear up, but we've forgotten to honour the fact that this is also part of the cycle of life and that we will change. And I do think that, yes, our body changes, and that's what we talk about the most. Well, I guess that's the most no, that's not actually even true. I was going to say potentially the most debilitating of the symptoms, but not really, because I feel like for the people that I've worked with that have had really life-altering symptoms, it's actually more about the brain fog, the word loss, the high anxiety, or the depression, like the low mood. So maybe that's not correct. But what I'm meaning is that these changes are natural, and the more that we understand them and the more that we step through them with this celebration of the rite of passage, just like we celebrate mums to be. That's what I'm like, can we start some sort of celebration of getting to the end of this menopause? I'm sure there's people that do that. In fact, I know there's women's circles that do exactly that. But why are we not celebrating it? And as you said before, if we don't get out of our own way and respond to the calling that we have and start sharing and being honest, then we are literally ripping the world off, because we're called to do something because it's part of the fabric of this beautiful matrix of being a human right now in 2023.
Yeah.
Who knows what will happen in 2050, but right now we're called to be part of the matrix. So I'm very, very grateful that you've chosen to, respond to your calling. And I learned so much. I look at Jacqui's Instagram, I'm like, ooh, that's something else I didn't know about perimenopause. And I love it because you've got this really good combination of lived experience, but also then, the actual training, science evidence behind it as well. So I really love that, because I think it is important to have both rather than just one or the other. The science can be very dry, and lived experience can be, very one particular experience. But when you put them together,
N equals 1.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes. Is there any particular thing that, if you feel into what it means to be, because I know one of your key values is the big freedom piece, like me, when you feel into what you've actually set yourself wild and free from in the perimenopause journey, what would be the biggest things that you've?
Yes, so setting myself wild and free from people pleasing and living up to other people's expectations.
Yeah.
I think they're probably linked anyhow.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And just forging my own path, being me and being unapologetically me.
Oh, I love that word. I love it. Unapologetically. And by definition, that means being the full me, including the me that doesn't want to necessarily go to the event, and the me that doesn't actually want to be available for, I don't know, the drama of whatever's going on with the children or whatever. Yeah. Not that they're children anymore, but all of that. And I think that that's really important for all of us to remember, is that this is the rebirthing of ourselves for ourselves, but also to answer the calling. So very grateful that you have answered yours. And thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute joy.
Oh, thank you, Kylie. I've had a lot of fun doing this. I'm heating up as I'm talking to the sun coming through this window.
The last so I came back to work on Monday this week. It's been 37 degrees, and I cannot have a fan or air conditioning on in this room when I'm recording because it picks up. So today, it's only 10:30 my time, so it's quite pleasant. But the other afternoon, I was recording at 5 p.m. and I reckon it was about 45 degrees in here. And I was like, this is not a good combination with perimenopause, people. No. So thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute honour.
Yes, I've had a great time. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for tuning into another episode, and I trust you're walking away with inspiration, aha, maybe some chiropractic adjustments of the soul where you've realised perhaps some ways that you're getting in your own way, or something that needs to be healed, or something that's calling to you that your heart really, really wants to birth or create or step into in this second cycle of life. And if that's you, I am throwing my arms wide open and inviting you to check out all of the ways that we could potentially partner together at kyliepatchett.com.au. That's my website for the podcast, and also one-on-one and group programs in midlife mentorship, yoga and breath work in specifically designed menopause classes online, and also, super excitingly, a list of retreats around Australia that I have been blessed to partner with some pretty darn spectacular humans who also help midlife mavens through this transition point. So if you are looking for some support, some community, some tools, just a safe place to actually reconnect to who you are, what you want, and come home to your own power and magnificence, I would love to welcome you into any one of those containers. So head on over to kyliepatchett.com.au, and I will be back in your ears very, very soon.